How's it going, everybody? John from Discover RC. Hope you guys are doing well. This is the review and flight for the E-flite Opterra. So the easiest way to show all the parts and pieces is to just lay it out in the driveway, because this is a pretty big wing, 2-meter wingspan. The box that this comes in is actually not all that big. Everything is packed in very well. You have to open it from both sides to get everything out. And you can see the parts count is pretty minimal. You have the wingtip over there with the thumb screw to put that on, main wing section with the servo already installed, everything hooked up. You have those little vertical fins that go in the center of the fuselage there, a bunch of different nose options for cameras, FPV cameras, and also GoPro. You have the 2 carbon fiber spars, and then you have also the thumb screws to attach the main wings to the fuselage. And that's about it. So very low parts count, very easy and quick to get this thing put together. So let's run over the specs real quick. 2-meter wingspan, that's 78 inches, AS3X and safe. This is a Z-foam model. It flies with a 3S 2200 milliamp pack. It has a Power 10 brushless motor, and I'm not sure what the KV of that motor is. 40 amp ESC, 13-gram digital servos on the wings. You have an AR636 6-channel sport receiver, and of course a folding prop with the spinner. So we'll go inside to go over the different nose configurations you have for the plane. You see the standard mount attached to the nose right now, and then you have mounts for the GoPro, you have FPV camera mounts, and you also have a bag with some extra weights for balancing the airplane. When you want to change the nose out, there is a little plastic clip on the top there, and then on each side you have a couple of screws that need to come out. Here is the standard nose piece, and if you take off this little bit of foam there, you can see there is some ballast already in place. There's also ballast in the front of the fuselage, which my guess is at least about 71 grams. And the standard stock nose piece weighs 143 grams. And then you have your nose piece, which takes a GoPro camera in it with the plastic front there, and that one weighs 97 grams. So you can see you would still need a little more ballast even with this, or you could add the FPV camera to the front for a little extra weight. A GoPro mount with a small FPV camera up front, I'm at 105 grams, so I'm still short of the stock nose weight. So I'd have to add a little bit of weight to that or move the battery forward. And then you have an FPV camera mount with built-in ballast. That one comes in at 110 grams. You also have an FPV camera nose mount with no ballast, and that's going to be very light, 3 grams. And then you also have a blank nose piece here, which is basically solid, no ballast on it, and that one weighs 4 grams. The instructions, as usual, are very thorough. Recommend reading them over to set up the airplane properly so you have both safe and AS3X. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put this thing together, then we'll go over a little more of the details on it. So you can easily transport the wing with the winglet attached, but the foam on it is relatively thin. So if you don't want it to get damaged or flexed, I would recommend taking it off, but it's very easy to do it. You just slide into place like this. You've got a thumb screw right here. It just goes on, turn it 90 degrees. And next you just slide those carbon fiber tubes into place through the center of the fuselage. The larger one goes in the back, the smaller one goes in the front. Before you slide the wing onto the carbon fiber spar, you put on your little vertical fin right here. It goes in the back. They're left and right sided, so you can't really put it on the wrong way. And once you have it in place there, then you can slide the wing onto the main carbon fiber spar. So I found both wings to fit on just fine. It does take a little bit of effort to get them on and off because there is a tight fit on those carbon fiber spars. So just be aware of that, but it shouldn't be overly difficult to get the wings on. And remember, before you get that wing fully on, you want to attach your Elevon servo lead. That lead inside the fuselage is fixed, and also the polarity is labeled, so it makes it very easy to attach it. And once it's attached, last thing to do is just put on that thumb screw. All right, now that it's together, let's take a closer look at the wing and some of the features on it. Let's take a look inside the main body of the airplane. You have this really long canopy cover, pops off right back here, and just take it off. And you can see you have access to pretty much the entire inside of the fuselage, from your receiver back here, ESC, with the long wire lead up to the battery compartment. Huge amount of space in the battery compartment. You can go all the way up to the nose. And yes, you can fly this with the 3S 2200 pack. For the first flight in this, I had it, I think somewhere right around here, and it balanced just fine. But there's plenty of room to adjust that, to add bigger packs. You have a Velcro strip under here, so you can add FPV equipment if you want. And then back here you have a cutout for a GoPro camera. So this will fit a GoPro 3 or 4 perfectly, and it has a little plastic piece or tape piece covering the lens hole right there. So take that off, put your GoPro in, and you can get nice downward looking footage. So that's the inside of the main fuselage compartment. So even with the standard nose on, you see you have a little flat piece on top of the fuselage. You could easily put a Mobius camera on that. You can see the servos are on top and they're protected and covered by those plastic pieces. We'll take a quick look at the bottom of the airplane. You can see you have a lot of nice stripes there. It makes it very easy to tell the bottom from the top when you're flying at line of sight. As far as landing it, you want to land it probably on grass because you do have some plastic protection here. This goes about to there, and then you have a plastic skid piece back here, but the rest of it is all pretty much just foam. You can see the GoPro opening right there for the camera lens, and you also see that you have some little dimples here for your CG. And those actually are pretty accurate. I tested those out in the first flight. I balanced it pretty much on those dimples and the plane flew just fine. So if you start adjusting your cameras, adding cameras to different spots, and you want to get the airplane balanced, just use these little dimples right here. That's a nice feature to have, makes it very easy to find your CG rather quickly, and they actually go out to right there, so you can either use the center ones or you can use the outer ones in order to find that CG. Those little cutouts on each side of the CG marking right there, those are your finger grips for hand launching. And you have some vortex generators there right in front of the elevon. Give you guys a quick look at the folding prop right here. And at the root of the right wing, there is this little opening right here, little plastic piece there. And I think that's a secondary option for your FPV camera because it will connect and it opens up into the fuselage there. So you can add your camera there and just leave your nose like this, or you could add the GoPro to the front and put your FPV camera there if you don't want to have too much weight up front. But looks like a secondary option for an FPV camera if you want to have it in a different spot. You can see all the little vortex generators molded into the foam on the top of the wing. Well, that's the basic overlay, setup, specs, all that kind of stuff of the big Opterra 2-meter wing. Let's do the fun part now and go take it flying. All right, I've got the Opterra out here. It's a nice day. And this is a big wing. For comparison, here's my 160-pound Malamute. He's kind of unusual for a Malamute, but big old dog right there. Big old wing. I will be flying this FPV. In fact, by the time I have this video together, I'll probably have flown it FPV in one of the vlogs. But for today, it's just line of sight flying. I just want to give you guys an idea of how it flies. And I always do like to fly any aircraft a bunch of times before I do it FPV, just to get a sense for how it flies, get the balance corrected, everything like that. Anyway, let's go ahead and put a battery in here and we'll get this thing going. This is where I've been flying the 3-cell 2200 pack. It's actually going back further and further the more I fly it, and it's still a little nose heavy with all that extra ballast up front. So I think it will be pretty easy to add the GoPro and FPV camera and leave out the extra ballast and just move the battery forward a little. As far as hand launching this thing, it is a little intimidating the first time you launch it, especially if you've never launched something big like this. You've just launched smaller aircraft, UMX planes, stuff like that. But you know, if you put it in safe mode, put it overhead, give it about 50-60% throttle, maybe a little more, and give it a nice solid push forward, it's just going to kind of fly away and then climb. It's not hard to launch at all. It's a very easy to fly airplane. It's very gentle, especially with safe mode on. So don't be intimidated by it. It's not that bad. You just need to kind of get it on step, get it going, make sure you get your hand out of the way of that prop, and it's just going to take off and fly very easily for you. All right, let's do a nice hand launch here. And so I'm in safe, and that's the maximum bank I can get. So you need a pretty big area to turn this thing in safe mode. So let's get out of it. And now it's just an AS3X. And this thing just glides so well. It's got good power for climbing, and it can do nice outside loops. Let me stall it real quick for you guys. And there, the nose will just drop a little bit. It's very gentle, very easy stall. If you had the skills and a good day, you could definitely thermal this. All right, let's put it about 3/4, or rather about a quarter throttle, and just kind of cruise around here. Has a very wide flight envelope as far as speed. I can keep it at about a quarter, keep the altitude, and just cruise around. And let's go full speed now, bring it back around. And it rolls nicely. It's not a real fast roll rate because it's a big wing, small elevons. But you can do all the aerobatics you want with this. And it will glide forever, basically. And this is the perfect time of day to be flying right now. Holds inverted very easily, just a little down elevator pressure. And like I said, you can do outside loops, so you can climb right out of that if you need to. And tons of power for loops, of course. And all this on a 3-cell 2200 pack, so that's pretty good. They say about 8 minutes of flight time. I think it depends how you fly it. I like to use a lot of throttle, so I'll have a lower flight time probably. But if you do a lot of gliding, I'm sure you can keep in the air for a long time. Very easy to see it, even the low light. Top and bottom markings are very easy to make out, so no problems with orientation, anything like that. Looks good with the sun on it. And you can see the underside markings very easy when it's inverted. So very, very easy to fly airplane. And you can go into that outside loop, just like that. Plenty of power. It's a very impressive wing. So I'm definitely looking forward to putting a GoPro in this, getting it going FPV. I will be doing that. In fact, I may have already done it. But this is fun just to fly line of sight. It's a fun airplane. Alright, the light's getting low, so I'm going to bring it in and land it. Just wanted to give you guys an idea of how it flies. I wasn't going to get this plane until I saw a video on it, and I wasn't going to review it until I actually flew it, but it's just so nice. So you'll be seeing more of this one. Any questions or comments, guys, please post below. Thanks as always for watching. And I will see you guys next time. Alright, I'm going to do that again because it just kept going and I didn't want to plant it too hard. I'm telling you, it glides really well. I need to bleed off more speed. We'll take it. Thanks for watching, guys.